California man has been sentenced for a deadly Gulfport shooting following a guilty plea. 22-year-old Makari Gassaway was sentenced to 50 years in prison for shooting and killing Brushawn Shawmayn McClam.
A search for acceptance and love turned into a heartbreaking tragedy for Shawmaynè McClam, a 27-year-old black trans woman who was gunned down in her own home. In the blink of an eye, an argument escalated into an act of violence that shattered not only her life, but also the lives of those around her. Shawmayn's story is one of resilience and advocacy, marred by the cruel reality of transphobia. As we unravel the events leading up to that fateful night, we confront the pressing issues that continue to endanger the lives of many in the transgender community. This is the story of Shawmaynè McClam, a tale of hope, loss, and the ongoing fight for justice. Before we dive into the story, welcome to True Crime Talks, where we uncover chilling true crime stories, dissect complex cases, and illuminate the unanswered questions that keep us up at night. From shocking crimes that shook the world to little-known stories that demand justice, we leave no stone unturned. Join our growing community of true crime enthusiasts by hitting that subscribe button below. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Shawmayn McClam was born on May 8, 1995 in Gulfport, Mississippi, to Shantay Durr and Roderick McClam. Growing up in a loving family, Shawmayn was known for her vibrant personality and determination to embrace her true self. From an early age, she exhibited a fierce confidence that would define her life. As she navigated her childhood, she faced challenges typical of many young people, but approached them with resilience and grace. Shawmayn attended Gulfport High School, where she graduated on June 3, 2014. During her school years, she was known as Brushawn, a name that reflected her early identity before she fully embraced her journey as a transgender woman. Her time at Gulfport High was marked by her involvement in various activities that showcased her talents and passions. She was not only a dedicated student, but also a performer at heart. Her love for dance and humor made her a cherished friend among her peers. Her childhood was filled with joyful moments spent playing games with cousins and friends, but it also included struggles as she sought to assert her identity in a world that often imposed rigid norms. Despite these challenges, Shawmayn's spirit remained unbroken. She was determined to be unapologetically herself. Her love for music, particularly for artists like Nicki Minaj, fueled her creativity and self-expression. Shawmayn's passion for makeup also became a significant part of her identity, as she often spent hours perfecting her look before stepping out into the world. After graduating high school, Shawmayn pursued a career in healthcare. She worked diligently to become a certified nursing assistant, CNA, completing her training while balancing multiple responsibilities. Her commitment to helping others was evident in both her professional aspirations and personal life. She aimed to provide a better life for her family and was known for being supportive of her loved ones, particularly her nieces and nephews. Shawmayn's journey was not without its hardships. She faced societal challenges that many transgender individuals encounter. However, she remained steadfast in advocating for herself and others within the LGBTQ+ community. Her social media presence reflected her dedication to raising awareness about issues such as colorism and trans rights, showcasing the complexities of her identity while fostering connections with those who shared similar experiences. Shawmayn's dating life was marked by her desire for connection and love, a journey that ultimately led her to an unfortunate and tragic end. Like many young adults, Shawmayn sought companionship and intimacy, often using online platforms to explore potential relationships. In an era where digital interactions are common, she used dating apps to meet new people and navigate her romantic interests. Through one of these online dating platforms, Shawmayn connected with a man named Makari Gassaway. Their early conversations likely centered around common interests and the possibility of building a relationship. However, the details of their interactions remain private, as is often the case with online dating, where individuals present their best selves. Shawmayn's friends mentioned that she was open about her identity as a transgender woman, an important part of her life that she navigated with courage. Unfortunately, what began as a promising connection took a dark turn. Reports indicate that Shawmayn and Makari eventually met in person after communicating online. Their relationship escalated into a confrontation that ended tragically. On June 21st, 2022, after an argument at her apartment in Gulfport, Mississippi, McClam allegedly pulled out a gun and shot Shawmayn, resulting in her untimely death. This violent act was not just an isolated incident, but part of a broader pattern of violence faced by transgender individuals, particularly Black trans women. The circumstances of Shawmayn's death highlight the dangers that can arise from online dating, especially for marginalized individuals who may face increased risks in their search for love and acceptance. Her story serves as a reminder of the vulnerabilities faced by many in the LGBTQ+ community when navigating relationships in a society that can sometimes be hostile. On that fateful day, police responded to reports of a shooting at the apartment complex where Shawmayn lived. Upon arrival, they found her unresponsive, suffering from gunshot wounds. Despite the efforts of first responders, she was pronounced dead at the scene. The news of her death sent shockwaves through the community, igniting feelings of fear and sorrow among friends and supporters who knew her as a kind-hearted and resilient individual. As the investigation began, McClam was quickly identified as a person of interest. He had met Shawmayn online, and their relationship had progressed to an in-person meeting that ended in tragedy. Witnesses reported hearing an argument from Shawmayn's apartment shortly before the gunshots rang out, prompting immediate concern from neighbors who were familiar with her warm presence. The investigation unfolded systematically as detectives examined the scene for evidence. They collected shell casings, examined bullet trajectories, and interviewed neighbors who may have witnessed the incident. The forensic team carefully documented all details in an effort to piece together the events that led to Shawmayn's death. Detectives also focused on digital evidence. They accessed Shawmayn's phone and social media accounts to better understand her interactions with McClam and identify any potential warning signs leading up to the incident. Text messages between Shawmayn and McClam revealed escalating tensions. What began as flirtation had eventually soured into conflict. Friends later recalled how Shawmayn had expressed concerns for her safety in the weeks before her death, underscoring the risks faced by many transgender individuals navigating relationships. Within days of the shooting, law enforcement located McClam in a nearby city. He was apprehended without incident and taken into custody for questioning. As news of Gassaway's arrest spread, community members organized vigils to honor Shawmayn's memory. These gatherings served not only as a tribute to her life, but also as a rallying cry against violence targeting transgender individuals. Activists emphasized that Shawmayn's death was not an isolated incident, but part of a disturbing trend of violence against marginalized communities. As investigators delved deeper into Gassaway's background, they uncovered troubling details about his past. He had a history of confrontational behavior and previous run-ins with law enforcement. This information raised questions about his suitability as a partner for someone like Shawmayn, who had already faced significant challenges in her life due to her identity as a transgender woman. The investigation revealed that Gassaway had been living in California before moving to Mississippi. Friends and family members expressed shock at his involvement in such a violent act, suggesting that he had presented himself differently online than he did in person. This discrepancy highlighted one of the many dangers associated with online dating. The legal proceedings surrounding McClam Gassaway, charged with the murder of Shawmayn McClam, unfolded against a backdrop of community outrage and calls for justice. The case highlighted critical issues regarding violence against transgender individuals and the need for systemic change in how such cases are handled within the legal system. During the initial stages of the investigation, Gassaway claimed that he acted in self-defense during an argument with Shawmayn. However, this claim was met with skepticism as evidence began to emerge. Witnesses reported hearing an argument prior to the gunfire, and forensic evidence collected from the scene indicated that Shawmayn had been shot multiple times. As the case progressed, a preliminary hearing was held to determine whether there was enough evidence to proceed to trial. During this hearing, prosecutors presented evidence gathered from the crime scene, including shell casings and witness testimonies. The defense attempted to argue that Gassaway's actions were justified under self-defense claims. However, the prosecution effectively countered this narrative by highlighting the nature of the relationship between Gassaway and Shawmayn. The preliminary hearing concluded with the judge ruling that there was sufficient evidence to move forward with charges against Gassaway. This decision marked a significant step in the pursuit of justice for Shawmayn McClam and her family. As the trial date approached, negotiations for a plea deal began. Recognizing the overwhelming evidence against him and the potential consequences of a lengthy trial, Gassaway ultimately chose to plead guilty. On October 14, 2024, he entered a plea agreement in which he pleaded guilty to second-degree murder, aggravated assault, and tampering with evidence. The plea deal was significant for several reasons. First, it allowed for a more expedient resolution to the case, sparing Shawmayn's family and friends from the emotional toll of a lengthy trial. Second, it provided an opportunity for Gassaway to accept responsibility for his actions, albeit in a limited capacity. The sentencing hearing took place shortly after Gassaway's guilty plea. Circuit Court Judge Lisa Dodson presided over the proceedings, which attracted considerable attention from local media and community members advocating for justice for Shawmayn. During the hearing, both sides presented their arguments regarding sentencing. The prosecution emphasized the brutality of Gassaway's actions and their devastating impact on Shawmayn's family and community. They argued that his behavior reflected a broader pattern of violence against transgender individuals and called for a substantial sentence to serve as a deterrent against future acts of violence. In contrast, Gassaway's defense team sought leniency by presenting mitigating factors related to his background and mental health struggles. They argued that he had not previously been involved in violent crime and that his actions were influenced by circumstances surrounding his relationship with Shawmayn. After considering all arguments presented during the hearing, Judge Dodson delivered her sentence. Makari Seven Gassaway was sentenced to a total of 50 years in prison, 30 years to serve actively, and 20 years suspended. Additionally, he would be subject to 5 years of reporting post-release supervision once he completed his sentence. This ruling aimed to balance accountability for his actions while also providing an opportunity for rehabilitation in the future. The sentence was met with mixed reactions from the community. Many advocates expressed relief that justice had been served, but also highlighted that no amount of prison time could replace Shawmayn's life or heal the wounds inflicted upon her loved ones. The outcome underscored ongoing concerns about violence against transgender individuals and emphasized the need for continued advocacy and systemic change. The legal journey of Makari Seven Gassaway reflects a complex interplay between personal tragedy and societal issues surrounding violence against transgender individuals. While justice was served through his conviction and sentencing, it is essential to recognize that this case is part of a larger narrative, a narrative that demands ongoing advocacy, awareness, and action to prevent further tragedies like that of Shawmayn McClam. As communities continue to grapple with these issues, they carry forward Shawmayn's legacy, a legacy marked by resilience, love, and an unwavering commitment to justice for all marginalized individuals. The hope is that through continued dialogue and action, society can move closer toward creating safer environments where everyone can live authentically without fear of violence or discrimination. The aftermath of Shawmayn's murder galvanized advocacy groups across the nation. Organizations focused on LGBTQ+ rights intensified their efforts to raise awareness about violence against transgender people and pushed for legislative changes aimed at increasing protections for marginalized communities. They highlighted that each victim represents not just a statistic, but a life filled with dreams and aspirations cut short by hate. Vigils held in Shawmayn's honor became spaces for healing and solidarity among those affected by similar tragedies. Friends shared stories of her kindness and spirit while calling for systemic change to address the root causes of violence against transgender individuals. Issues like discrimination, lack of access to resources, and societal stigma. Shawmayn McClam's story is one of resilience amidst adversity, a life lived authentically despite societal challenges. Her tragic death serves as both a heartbreaking reminder of the violence faced by many in the LGBTQ+ community and a catalyst for change. In honoring her memory, advocates continue to push for greater awareness about the dangers faced by transgender individuals in their pursuit of love and acceptance. The investigation into her murder revealed not only the immediate circumstances surrounding her death, but also illuminated broader societal issues that demand urgent attention. As communities rally together to fight against hate and violence, they carry forward Shawmayn's legacy, one marked by courage, love, and an unwavering commitment to justice for all marginalized individuals. In reflecting on this tragic case, it becomes clear that while justice may have been served in terms of legal repercussions for Gasaway, there remains much work to be done in creating a safer world for everyone, one where no one has to fear for their life simply because they are living authentically as themselves.